Just 1 second. Okay, anytime. All yours, Doug.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. Let me wish you either a good afternoon or a good morning, depending on where you are. I'm Doug Grant, one of the principals in Insurance Canada, and I'm a co-moderator for this event today. Today's webinar is titled XClaim, Bringing Innovation and Value to Insurance Claims Litigation. Although Insurance Canada previously hosted a webinar, Risk Aggregation, which touched on the claims space, this is the first which is really focused on claims, and in this case on the legal counsel aspect of claims. Thanks to our sponsor, Gowling's, for making this webinar possible. Since I began in technology and insurance space more than 40 years ago, think about the era of the punch card. Some of you may remember what those were. The main value proposition of technology has always been efficiency. But in many cases, we found that technology opened up our other doors as well: effectiveness, nature of insurance products, access to data for analysis, etc. In what seems to be a dramatically more competitive space today, with consumers' self-service expectations continually rising, customer service is ever more important. This session today, focusing on the working relationship between insurance company claims staff and legal counsel, addresses both efficiency and customer service, as well as a number of the other areas. Joe? Our featured speaker for today is Ralph D'Angelo, who is a senior counsel at Gowling's. He is, in essence, the product owner of XClaim as well. With a background within insurance companies and as a legal services provider, Ralph is a subject matter expert on this topic. My Insurance Canada co-moderator behind the scenes is Joe Golobic, who is running the background technology. He will also handle the questions at the end during the Q&A period. While our speaker, Ralph, presents, please submit questions using the question space in the session panel to the right of your screen. Slide. Ralph will explain the XClaim software solution. He will also address some of the underlying issues and identify some of the opportunities in today's ever-changing environment. You may well decide to take notes in addition to asking questions during this session. But for your reference, the presentation slides and a recording of the webinar will be posted on the webinar section of the Insurance Canada website, all going well, by sometime Thursday. Slide. To take us through the session, I now welcome Ralph D'Angelo, Senior Counsel, Gowling's. Ralph, over to you.
Thank you very much, Doug. And I'm just making sure that we have the screen up properly here. There we are. And we'll move that one over there. Okay. Thanks, Doug, and thanks to everyone who has logged in to the webinar for your interest in Gowling's and XClaim. I'm really looking forward to this. The webinar format is being used because I believe it allows us to interact with the participants from across the country. And for those of you who know me and with whom I've worked in the past, you know that I want and welcome questions from participants in my presentation. So throughout the presentation, you can email your questions, as Doug explained to you, through your login screen, and I would be happy to answer them at the end of the webinar. Before we start to look at XClaim, I'd like to take a look at the insurance industry today. And as we all know, the industry is highly competitive and highly consolidated. And there are significant pricing pressures that are faced by the industry. In 2011, the top 10 property and casualty insurers in Canada controlled almost 62% of the market share. And this was an increase of almost 2 points from 2010. And this trend in consolidation and competitiveness is continuing. We saw just last month Intact purchased Jevco. Royal Sun Alliance just this week purchased l'Union Canadienne from cooperators. So the insurers need competitive advantages, that distinguish them from the pack, and the insurers are all striving to develop efficiencies and cost-effectiveness in delivery of insurance services, while keeping an eye on their ultimate goal, which is to deliver value to their insured clients throughout the whole insurance policy lifecycle and from claim referral to claim resolution. In response to these competitive pressures and the industry consolidation, insurers have turned to innovation to deliver this value to their customers. And innovative practices and processes have been developed and applied to the entire customer experience, from insurance policy sales and underwriting to the servicing of claims. And some examples of innovation within the claims handling department include developing and utilizing claims management software that tracks claims handling from file opening to closing, developing fixed fee or other alternative fee arrangements with service providers to the claims department, being permitted by their service providers to access and monitor their products and services provided to the insurer and the insured on a 24/7 basis. In fact, some of these service providers are permitting the insureds themselves to access the service providers' platforms to check on the progress of their claims and the work that's being provided to them. And we've also seen the establishment and integration of the insurer's claims operations and IT systems with their service providers' systems. And finally, we see insurers being able to track, collate, and analyze claims handling data in real time in order to reveal claims handling issues, barriers to efficiencies, cost effectiveness, or customer service, and always looking at opportunities for improvement. So in the midst of this innovation within the insurance industry, let's take a look at the relationship between insurers and their legal counsel. And I've spent over 20 years in the property and casualty industry, both as a lawyer and as a director of legal counsel in-house. And so I've been able to view the insurers' relationships with their external legal counsel from the perspective of both the industry as well as the lawyer. And what I've observed are a number of friction points in that relationship. And basically, the cause of these friction points seems to be a general unwillingness of the legal profession to embrace innovative, more efficient methods of delivering and paying for their legal services. So examples of these friction points include the high cost of legal services. For insurers, we understand that legal costs must be very carefully controlled. It's part of their cost of doing business. On bodily injury defense files, the legal cost associated with getting from A to Z, from entering a defense to the claim and resolving the claim either through settlement or trial, that directly impacts the premium rates that are chargeable to the insurers. And insurers want to encourage the most cost-effective, efficient delivery of legal services. On the other hand, for some legal counsel, their aim, of course, is to maximize income that's derived from the insurers. But how they derive that income lacks imagination and innovation. For example, the principal mechanism is generally hourly rate billing. And there's nothing wrong with that, and a lot of insurers are very comfortable with those kinds of arrangements. But these traditional arrangements encourage counsel to be inefficient. The more time that counsel spends doing tasks on file, the more counsel can bill. And this discourages the use of the most capable, lowest cost legal service provider. For example, most tasks on a defense file do not require legal counsel expertise. I can prepare a statement of defense to a claim with my eyes closed. And you don't need a lawyer necessarily to collate and prepare an affidavit of documents. The lawyer's skills and expertise should be reserved for tasks that involve the exercise of legal judgment, conducting discoveries, developing and implementing file handling strategies, and those tactics. And then another irritant in the relationship with counsel in terms of costs are those photocopying charges. Counsel are submitting bills for 25 cents a page over the entire lifetime of a file, which of course accumulates and adds up. Another friction point in the relationship is the lack of transparency. Lawyers are control freaks. They like to be the gatekeepers to information that's provided to the client. And the most common complaint that I heard from adjusters about their legal counsel was, why have I not heard from them? What are they doing on my file? And there's this dependency relationship that develops. The adjuster begs for scraps of information or updates from their lawyers, and the lawyer meets out just enough to keep the adjuster happy when the lawyer feels like it. And this kind of relationship, of course, promotes inefficiencies. You've got the adjuster emailing or telephone calling, the lawyer requesting file updates. The adjuster has to pick up and put down the file, and while they're waiting for the return call, and so on and so forth. And this lack of transparency on legal files undermines the expectations of the insurer. It's as if the claim file has dropped into a black hole. The insurer is no longer able to monitor the file handling as closely as when the file was within their internal claim management system. In short, the insurer has lost control of their own file. Another friction point in the relationship concerns document management. And we know that insurance litigation is increasingly becoming document intensive. The typical accident benefits file involves thousands of pages of documentation. A bodily injury claim file will start out as a thin folder, but will quickly expand over its lifetime to an accordion folder of documentation, particularly once the accident benefits file is received. As the litigation continues, files will grow with counsel reports, responses to undertakings, correspondence, and so on. And most insurers have developed automated document management systems, but not all have. And similarly with legal counsel, not all of them are as advanced in terms of document management systems, and a lot of legal counsel are still hard copy focused. So the challenge is, how does one manage the flow and review of this extensive documentation between insurer and legal counsel? And a final friction point in the relationship with insurers concerns an unwillingness of counsel to do subrogation recovery work. And we understand that subrogation is very important for insurers. Every dollar that's recovered impacts the insurer's bottom line. And not all lawyers understand this, and particularly the insurance defense counsel. They're not necessarily interested in pursuing subrogation recovery, and they see their job as ending once they've concluded the defense litigation. And most insurance lawyers think like defense counsel, not plaintiff counsel. And one requires a different mindset when advancing a claim for recovery for an insurer rather than defending a claim. And quite apart from these friction points, there are other challenges that are faced by the insurance industry. And these include the need for real-time, reliable metrics and data. All claims executives appreciate the importance of data. They use this to measure the performance of their service providers, including their legal counsel, both on an individual file and on a portfolio-wide basis. How are the legal counsel or the other service providers doing in comparison to other legal counsel? Are they meeting performance milestones that have been set by the insurer? Data with respect to file handling and resolution is very important. How long is it taking for files to get to discoveries, mediation, settlement meetings, pretrial? What's the optimum file settlement point for a matter? Do we settle files at a particular stage when we're dealing with a particular claimant's counsel or for a particular type of injured claimant? Data helps determine how well the insurer is doing on not only defense litigation but also on subrogation recovery matters, and it helps to determine areas for improvement, not only for the service providers but also for the insurer in terms of making improvements to claims handling processes. So all of this data is, in short, critical for developing competitive advantages. But a lot of this litigation-related data is collected manually, and it's collected on a file-by-file basis. In the case of legal service providers, insurance company representatives often have to attend at the lawyers' offices in order to review the hard copy files of the lawyers to conduct their audits. Another challenge for the insurance industry is making sure that the insurer's IT systems are compatible with the service provider's IT systems. Insurers have gone to a lot of expense and trouble to upgrade legacy IT systems or to switch to new claims handling IT platforms. Any new service provider's IT system should work seamlessly with whatever IT system an insurer is presently using. And a final challenge, which is becoming increasingly prevalent, is how do we deal with today's tech-savvy workforce and work circumstances, and how do we keep this workforce engaged? A significant portion of the insurance workforce consists of young people who are comfortable with computers, smartphones, iPads, and the insurance workforce does not necessarily work from fixed offices. Many adjusters work from home or are on the road and work from remote locations. How can the insurers maximize the use of innovative technology to ensure that these employees remain productive and engaged in their work wherever they may be? So let's take a look at how XClaim can help with these friction points. And how are we doing things differently here at Gowlings? Most of the answers are going to be demonstrated to you when you have an opportunity to look at the online portal, and we'll turn to that in just a minute. In a nutshell, the solution that's being proposed by Gowlings is to make our law firm an extension of the insurer's claims department. Essentially, external counsel becomes your in-house counsel, and we want to integrate the external counsel into the insurer's litigation claims handling process, so that that file no longer drops into a black hole once it gets referred to counsel. So a little history about Gowlings, and it's been a leading innovator in the use of technology to enable cost-effective delivery of legal services. In the mid-1990s, for the financial services sector, and here we're talking about banks and mortgage companies and lending institutions, Gowlings developed a very similar program with respect to debt and mortgage enforcement. And Gowlings became basically an extension of the financial institution's internal recovery team and process. An online platform was created for clients, not that much different from what you're going to see, and a dedicated team of lawyers and paralegals and law clerks specializing in pursuing recovery was established by the firm. And essentially with XClaim, Gowlings has taken all that it has learned over the past 20 years of providing legal services to financial institutions in this fashion and applied it to insurance litigation. And this is the only law firm, Gowlings is the only law firm in Canada doing business this way. So let's take a look at the online portal, and I'm going to see if I can switch this over to there. And of course, yeah. All right, there we are. And what I'm going to demonstrate to you is the online portal as the customer would see it. So this is the access that the insurance companies would get to their files. And what you're looking at here is the home page. Now, each insurer and each insurance adjuster, manager or supervisor would have their own unique user ID and password to access the portal. And of course, they would not have the ability to select the client as I do, because this is my version of the portal. But basically, the home page would open up with the name of the insurance company. And as you can see, the files are searchable by. You can look at all files in a particular adjuster's portfolio, or just subrogation or defense matters. You can search by the name of the insured or by the claim number. Or you can even search by province if that's what you choose to do. We'll select our insurance company that we want to work with, and this opens onto a file listing page. And as you can see, what this is basically a dashboard of the present status of all files in an insurer's or adjuster's portfolio. And this file listing can be sorted by claim number, by type of claim, whether it's subrogation or defense, by type of loss, date of loss, and whatever method of sort that the client wishes to use. The synopsis at the far right here provides a summary of the last or most recent legal event or activity which occurred on this particular file. And so you can see the status of all matters basically at a glance. From this page, the user is able to drill down to a particular file. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at a defense file and the various features and tabs that are available on a defense matter. And as you can see, this matter info tab provides details of all the parties and their status in the action. You have the name of all the counsel that are involved, and you also have the contact information of your legal team. And one of the innovative features that we've built into XClaim is the ability to be able to email your legal counsel or your legal team member just by clicking on this email icon here. And what happens is that a pre-populated Outlook message or screen is open for you, and it already has the email of the person that you want to communicate with, as well as their claim number. All you have to do is just type in the message that you want to send, hit the send button, and off it goes. And this is one of the time-saving efficiencies built into the XClaim portal. And you can see how important it is, particularly when you want to send an email to your counsel. I mean, how many times do you have to go look up your counsel's email address and the reline, the file number for the lawyer? I mean, all that is put into your Outlook message right from with just a click of a button. You see that there's a synopsis box here, and it provides more details of all the events that have occurred on the file, pretty much from the beginning of the file. And so you're able to see when key events occurred, and at the very, very top you can see the last event that occurred, and it's this event that gets transferred onto that file listing page that we looked at just a minute ago. And there is other information in terms of the action track, whether it's standard or simplified or small claims court, key dates in terms of when the file was received by counsel, and the initial opinion was given to the adjuster. The user is then able to navigate through other parts of the file by clicking on these tabs here. And the next tab is the Litigation tab. And this provides a bit more detail about the various litigation steps which have occurred in the action. Again, you can see key dates in terms of waivers and defense filings and discovery plans being filed. And all this, of course, you can see helps in terms of tracking the performance of your legal counsel. With this screen here, you can see information about when the discoveries were conducted, affidavits of documents were exchanged. The user is able to open a sub-box here of undertakings and refusals that were given on a particular examination for discovery. And so you see all of the undertakings are summarized, the due dates of when they were supposed to be responded to by the party are noted, and then there's a comments or court disposition column in the far right that just gives a little synopsis of the particular document or response that's been given. And at the bottom, there is also a refusals box, which deals with any refusals that were given at discovery and what happened in relation to the motion with respect to those refusals. In addition to being able to view outstanding undertakings and refusals with a click of the mouse, you can also see an offers subscreen. So all of the offers that have been made by the particular party over the history of the claim file, these are all shown here, and so you can see what the latest status is of each offer to settle that has been exchanged between the parties. And there's information about motions, and so you can see all the motions that were brought and who brought the motions, and what the disposition was in terms of the relief that was granted. And there's other information in the bottom about mediation and pre-trial dates and the resolution of the file. The next tab that's available for clients to access are log entries. And for all of you claims adjusters out there, this is not going to be an unusual thing. All claims handlers are familiar with these things, and insurance companies require their claims handlers, whether it's from the initial file setup, their appraisers, the claims adjuster, the supervisor, manager, they all have to log their filed activities. And this is how the insurer keeps track of what's happening on their claim file. And it promotes file handling efficiencies because anyone can pick up the file and know precisely what is happening or has happened on the file. And so why not apply this to lawyers and law firms as well? And this is what we do at Gowling. Basically, all of our claims, all of our legal staff, whether it's lawyers or law clerks or legal assistants, all telephone calls, all emails, all discussions that have occurred or major events that have occurred on the file, they are required to log those in, and they're available for the client to see. And so you can see when we're talking about the transparency problems with external counsel, well, this is a big solution to that particular issue. And here's another one. Reminders. We all have tickler systems. Certainly insurance claims people do. They get reminders every day of what needs to be done on their file portfolio. And so why shouldn't lawyers get that as well? And so we have a built-in reminder or tickler system where everything is logged, and you can see the date that the activity was attended to by the particular person that needed to do it. Don't despair with the fact that the dates all appear to be the same because this is a demonstration file, but the purpose you can see is to see how your counsel is keeping up on their file, and whether or not the file is just collecting dust on the back of their credenza. And again, no other law firm provides this kind of treatment, this kind of access. The expenses tab. Expenses are very important to insurers, and with this particular screen, we have attempted to provide a snapshot of all expenses and payments that the insurer has made on the file, whether it's payments that were made to the plaintiff, and these would be payments that are made to plaintiff's counsel, for example, to reimburse for medical records and hospital records or those kinds of things, or whether they're defense-related expenses. So these would be to experts that the insurer and their counsel has retained to help them on a matter. All of the legal fees and disbursements are shown here, and then in this right bottom box here, there's a expense to loss ratio calculation that is built in here. What is the ratio of the total defense expenses that have been incurred in comparison to the payments that the insurer has made, both in terms of settlement and to plaintiff's counsel. And then the final tab that is available is the documents screen, which for some reason is not coming up. And there we go. Okay, we'll work on that. Okay. Well, the documents screen is not coming up for some reason. Okay. So, but all of the documents that are available on a file and that are received on the file from inception, and as the file progresses, all of that documentation is scanned and uploaded onto XClaim. And here's what I'm going to attempt to do here: is show you our internal XClaim screen. And so this is what our internal screen looks like in terms of all the data that is recorded and that you saw on the online screen. But this would be the document tab that you would have access to. And for example, you have access to the plaintiff's medical records. They've all been scanned and uploaded here. We have bookmarked all of the important and indexed all of the important documents for you, so that you can reference them as you need. We're able to highlight important things, like, for example, references of pre-accident headaches and those kinds of entries. So all this would be accessible to the client. If you were talking about photographs, all of those have been uploaded and scanned, and so they're accessible to the client as well. So all of the documentation, either from the inception of the file or over the course of the file, is scanned and uploaded onto the documents platform and is accessible to the client. Essentially, the XClaim becomes a document management platform for the insurer. And we also have modified these screens somewhat for purposes of the. I'm trying to bring back up the. There we are. We've also modified these screens for purposes of subrogation recovery matters. Although the tabs are all exactly the same when it comes to subrogation recovery, we have included such things as, for example, a pre-judgment and a post-judgment interest calculator with a daily calculator built into the process. We've also included a post-judgment execution tab for the client that deals with the executions that are filed, such as writs of seizure and sale, MTO license suspensions, notices of garnishments, and judgment debtor examinations. But for all intents and purposes, all of those screens and tabs are exactly the same as they were on the defense files. So that was the online portal, and I apologize for the technical difficulties that we encountered. But how else, quite apart from the portal, are we driving value and file handling efficiencies? XClaim is more than just the portal. Some of the other important features of XClaim, including facilitating file auditing and monitoring of legal counsel. As you can see, you can do the auditing of your legal counsel remotely. All you have to do is log in, and you no longer need to attend counsel's office to do this. The file auditing can be done more often. It's not confined to once or twice a year, and the data on performance milestones for legal counsel is available on a 24/7 basis. We've also put together a dedicated team of insurance litigation staff. This consists of legal counsel, paralegals, and law clerks and legal assistants who have expertise in insurance litigation, both in terms of tort and subrogation recovery, and also in accident benefits matters as well. This team is headed by me, and with 20 years experience in the property and casualty industry, litigating and arbitrating both automobile and property claims, as well as being involved in subrogation recovery matters. And it's a highly leveraged model. The file work is allocated to the most appropriately experienced personnel, and this permits a higher file load to be handled by the law firm. And we also make available real-time claims portfolio data and metrics. And XClaim contributes to this, not only with respect to legal counsel performance, but also over the entire claim file. File life cycles can be tracked, for example. This is a chart that we've compiled in terms of life cycle events over the course of a defense file or a defense portfolio. And these are real numbers over a portfolio of a particular client in terms of their defense matters. But you can see here how we were measuring the average days that it takes for counsel to get to filing a defense, to making the initial plaintiff-lawyer contact, to getting to discoveries, to getting to mediation and to pretrial. And what's the time, the average time between the matter being completed at discoveries and then going to judgment or to a settlement. And on average, we're seeing that we're getting to that point within 64 days from the discovery being completed. And similarly, this is a chart on our subrogation recovery matters. And again, we're looking at an entire portfolio here, and we're seeing the average days that it takes to get to a demand on subrogation and to issuing the action, to serving the action, to getting to judgment or settlement, to proceeding to mediation or pretrial and to trial, and how long is it taking to get a license suspension or an execution or a judgment debtor exam underway. So you can see that there's a lot of data that is gathered by XClaim and can be sliced and diced by the insurance industry, and all this data would be made available to the client at no charge. Another important component of Gowling's XClaim program are alternative fee structures, and essentially we're tailoring these to the particular wants and needs of the client. And it can be traditional billing methods if the client is comfortable and happy with hourly rates, then certainly we're prepared to perform the work on an hourly rate basis. However, we believe that there are alternatives to hourly rates, which can provide incentives to legal counsel to perform legal work more efficiently. And these can be things such as phased billing per stage of litigation. Capping the legal fees requires counsel to work more efficiently and cost effectively. Contingency fee arrangements on subrogation recovery matters, or any combination of the above. The only limit is really the imagination and creativity of the client and Gowling's, and we work with our clients to tailor an alternative fee structure that makes sense for them. And there is a one-time photocopying charge that is charged at the very outset of the file. And the client never has to worry about having to pay for photocopying expenses over the lifetime of the file itself. So in closing, I think Gowlings has developed something that's pretty unique here. No other legal counsel in the country provides this kind of transparency to their clients. Essentially, the law firm becomes an extension of the claims department, and we believe that it takes a lot of confidence in our abilities to do this. It requires counsel and paralegals, law clerks, and support staff to be disciplined and on top of their files at all times. And we would welcome an opportunity to be of service to your business, whether an insurer or any business with a significant portfolio of litigation matters. Feel free to contact me. As Doug said, this webinar and the accompanying PowerPoint will be available on the Insurance-Canada.ca website. Contact particulars are up there on the screen. Thanks for your attention. Doug, back to you with any questions from any of our participants.
You there, Joe?
Yeah, I'm going to read some questions that have come in during the webinar, and Ralph will answer them. First one is, I'm concerned about confidentiality of personal and other information of our clients and the claim files which are on XClaim. How does Gowlings address these concerns?
That's a good question, Joe, and a very important one, particularly in today's world. All of the information and data on XClaim is encrypted, and it's firewall protected. As I explained, Gowlings has a history of providing similar online access to banks and mortgage companies and other financial institutions. So we've got a very good track record in terms of ensuring that the personal information is protected and treated confidentially. As I pointed out, access to the database is restricted by user IDs and passwords.
Okay, and the next question is, how current is the information and documentation on XClaim?
Well, the information and data is entered basically as it happens, whether it's the lawyer that's involved in the file or whether it's the assistant or law clerk. So all of the documents and data are uploaded as they come into the law firm, and then the online portal is updated twice a day. I think it's like at 6 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock or so in the afternoon. So all of the data and documents that are up on the portal are just hours old.
Okay, the next one is, we've moved to a different browser technology. Is there any issue with that?
There shouldn't be, because the access is through the internet, and so it's a browser-based system. I would certainly, from our clients' perspective, the ones who are accessing our portal, there's no issue in terms of browser compatibility.
Okay, very good. Next one is there any charge for access to the XClaim online platform?
No, there's no charge at all, provided that Gowlings is doing the legal work for the client. There are no user fees or charges for access to the platform at all.
Okay. Can XClaim receive some claims data from insurers and return other data, like invoices using EDI or other data exchange?
That is a technical question, and I don't have my IT fellow here. I do know that we are working with one of our current clients to basically have their insurers' IT claims handling system interact with XClaim, so that the two literally work seamlessly together, and of course that would facilitate the interchange of documentation and information between the two systems. So that is something that we are looking at, and that we certainly are confident would be feasible.
Okay, I think we have time for a couple more. So the next one is, what's the geographic area serviced by Gowlings through XClaim?
Well, Gowlings is a national law firm. We have offices in Montreal and Ottawa, Toronto, Waterloo, Hamilton, Calgary, and Vancouver. We even have offices in Beijing and Moscow and London. For the time being, the service area is within the Greater Toronto area, Southern Ontario, which we can service from our offices here in Ontario. But certainly, because we have branch offices out west and in Ottawa, we can certainly look at expanding and making XClaim available even in those.
Okay, because there was a follow-up or a different question, but follows up on this one, and the question is this available to all Gowlings offices? So I'm not sure if you answered that or if you want to add something to that.
It's available to all Gowlings offices, but it depends on what the client arrangements are with that particular office.
Okay, and for more information, I guess someone can contact you if you really want to get into the details.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, and another question is, what's the cost for this service?
For accessing?
I'm not sure. I'm assuming that it's for access to XClaim. I would assume.
Yeah, and as we said, there's no cost to the client, provided that Gowlings is providing the litigation services.
Right. Okay.
This access is available at no charge to the client.
Okay, and I think I have one more. As we implement a more comprehensive claim system in-house, are you exploring possible electronic integration in some way, possibly exchange of documents, etc.? You may have answered part of this one already, but...
yes, we certainly are. And I do know that our IT people are talking to the IT people of our current clients in terms of finding a way of integrating the two IT systems so that they can basically function seamlessly between each other. So that is certainly something that's feasible. Yes.
Okay. There was a follow-up to the previous question about the cost of this, and I guess somewhere in I'm going to read it out just exactly as it is. The original email does refer to a fixed fee, and I'm not sure what this refers to. So.
Okay. What we're talking about in terms of fixed fees are per phase of litigation, and one of the programs that we have in place with a client pays us for legal services as we render them through the phase of litigation. And I'll give you an example. We have a fixed fee with respect to pleadings and document exchange. So for all of the time and effort that counsel puts into that particular stage, the fee that is charged for that stage is fixed. So if counsel needs to spend more time on that phase, then it's going to be at counsel's expense. If they do things efficiently and cost effectively, they're going to make money on that particular phase. Then we move on to the next phase, which would be examinations for discovery. Again, there's a fixed fee for that particular stage, and it doesn't matter how much time counsel spends on that particular phase. And we have fees for the next stages that occur as well, typically dealing with mediations, pretrial conferences, and the like. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about fixed fees. It's basically fixed fees per phase of litigation.
Okay, very good. I think those are the questions for now. So, and we're getting towards the end of the webinar time anyway, time slot. So yeah. I'm going to turn it back over to Doug just to finish off. Doug?
Thank you, Joe. I'd like to thank Ralph today for your presentation about XClaim and the opportunities in front of us to improve efficiencies and many other aspects of the insurer-legal counsel relationship. As Ralph has noted, please contact him with any questions. We will be sending out tomorrow, hopefully, an email to each of you, and that will contain a link to both the slide deck, a copy of the presentation, in other words, and a recording of today's webinar. I'd like to thank you, those who are listening, for your attentiveness and your questions, and watch this space for future webinars which you may find of interest. On behalf of Gowlings, and Ralph in particular, we here at Insurance Canada wish you a happy, healthy, and safe summer, and that concludes today's webinar.